The road across the dry savanna wasn't really a road. It was a hard-packed strip of red dirt with tire ruts, bordered by thorn scrub and acacia trees that leaned inward as if trying to meet in the middle. In the rainy season, it turned to mud. In the dry season, it turned to dust so fine it coated the inside of your mouth. People called it the Acacia Lane because it ran through a long stretch where the trees grew close together, forming a tunnel of shade. Shade was a gift in that heat. Shade was also a trap. Every morning at 6:30, the bus from Kijani town to the clinic in Makuta passed through that lane. It carried school children, market sellers, and sometimes a nurse who worked 2 villages away. The bus was old, paint peeling, suspension tired, horn loud enough to startle goats. It stopped where it needed to stop because people depended on it, until it didn't. On a Monday morning, the bus approached the Acacia Lane and slowed, not for passengers, but because something stood in the middle of the road. A giraffe, not off to the side, not browsing politely at the edge, standing directly on the lane like a gate. It was a young male, tall and narrow through the chest, still growing into its height. Its coat pattern was sharp and clean, legs long as poles, head high above the acacia canopy. It looked calm, almost bored, chewing slowly. The driver, a man named Barakan Jorage, hit the horn. The horn blared. The giraffe didn't move. Passengers leaned forward, murmuring. A child laughed nervously. Someone whispered, "It won't get hit, will it?" Baraka's hands tightened on the wheel. Hitting a giraffe was not like hitting a goat. A giraffe's body was high. The legs could collapse into the windshield, killing the driver. Everyone in this region knew stories. Buses crushed, drivers dead, people injured. Baraka did not want to become a story. He tried the horn again. The giraffe flicked an ear. It kept chewing. Baraka eased the bus into reverse a few meters, then tried to edge around the giraffe on the shoulder. The shoulder was soft sand with hidden roots. If the bus sank, he would be stuck for hours. If he passed too close, the giraffe might kick. Giraffe kicks were not warnings. They were weapons. Baraka stopped the bus and shut off the engine. He stepped outside slowly, keeping distance, and shouted, "Hey, move!" The giraffe stared down at him, eyes dark, lashes long, and did nothing. A woman named Sister Lila, the nurse, leaned out of the window. "We're late," she called. Baraka didn't look back. "If I push, it kicks," he said. "If it kicks, we die." He tried something else. He threw a small stone toward the roadside brush, not at the giraffe, just near it. A disturbance. The stone hit dirt with a soft thud. The giraffe didn't move. Passengers began to whisper in frustration. The market sellers worried about their produce. The children worried about school punishments. Sister Lila worried about patients waiting at the clinic. Baraka made a decision. He got back in the driver's seat, started the engine, turned the bus around, and drove back toward Kijani town. People shouted, "No, we need to go." Baraka's voice was hard. "I'm not dying in the Acacia Lane," he said. "Not today." That morning, the bus didn't stop in Makuta. It didn't stop at the clinic. It didn't stop at the school drop. It turned back. And a single giraffe, calm, stubborn, unmoving, had just altered the schedule of hundreds of people. Word spread fast, as it always did in places with few distractions. A giraffe blocked the road. It stood there like it owned it. The bus turned back. By afternoon, a wildlife ranger named Joseph Mhando arrived in a dusty pickup with 2 assistants. Joseph was practical, used to conflicts between animals and people. He didn't hate animals. He didn't worship them. He treated them like reality. He drove to the Acacia Lane and found the giraffe still there. It wasn't trapped. It wasn't injured. It simply stayed. Joseph stepped out and studied the lane. He saw fresh giraffe tracks along the road's center and fresh acacia leaves stripped from trees right above the lane. "Food is here," Joseph muttered. "Shade is here, and the lane is easy walking." One assistant asked, "Why won't it move when the bus comes?" Joseph watched the giraffe chew. "Because it learned the bus stops," he said. The assistant frowned. How could it learn that? Joseph didn't answer immediately. He looked down the lane and saw something else, a small salt spill near the roadside from trucks that sometimes carried feed. Animals loved salt. They returned to places where they found it, and once an animal claimed a corridor, it used it again and again. The giraffe had kept the Acacia lane, and now the bus, built for human routine, had discovered it could not force routine through a wild body. The next morning, the bus approached the Acacia lane again, because it had to. There was no paved alternative route. The detour added hours and crossed soft ground that became impassable after light rain. Baraka drove slower this time, horn ready, fear under control but present. Passengers were quieter too. Nervousness changed a bus. At the lane entrance, Baraka saw the giraffe again. Same spot, same calm posture. He stopped the bus at a safe distance and killed the engine. People groaned. Sister Leela climbed down and stood beside Baraka. "We can't keep turning back," she said. "Patients will miss medicine." Baraka nodded. "And we can't hit it," he replied. Joseph arrived again, as promised, with more tools this time, a flare, a long pole with cloth, and a plan. He told Baraka, "We'll move it off the road, but no sudden charging. Giraffe panics equals giraffe kicks." He approached the giraffe with two assistants spreading out to the sides, creating a gentle pressure wall. They waved cloth and spoke loudly, not screaming, just making themselves present. The giraffe watched them, still chewing, as if deciding whether the effort of moving was worth it. Joseph lit a flare, not close, but visible, its hiss and smoke adding a new uncomfortable element. The giraffe flinched. It took one step sideways, then another. Slowly, it drifted toward the shoulder, away from the bus lane. Passengers cheered softly. Baraka started the engine, ready to pass quickly while the road was clear. Then the giraffe stopped again, half on the shoulder, half on the road, turning its body sideways. Now it wasn't a gate, it was a wall. Baraka froze. Joseph swore under his breath. "It's not leaving the lane," he said. "It's negotiating." That was how it felt. The giraffe wasn't running away. It was repositioning to keep access while avoiding discomfort. Joseph tried stronger pressure. Assistants clapped loudly, the flare moved closer, the cloth waved more sharply. The giraffe finally stepped fully off the road and into the acacias. Baraka didn't waste time. He drove through, dust rising. The bus made it to Makuta, late but alive. People praised Joseph at the clinic, but Joseph didn't look satisfied, because he knew what would happen. The giraffe would return. Animals returned to corridors that fed them unless the corridor stopped feeding them. That afternoon, Joseph investigated deeper. He followed the giraffe tracks and found the true reason the lane mattered. A series of acacia trees along the road edge had fresh leaf growth lower than normal because of a recent trimming by road crews. That meant the giraffe could feed without reaching high, staying comfortable and safe in the lane shade. Also, the lane's center ruts held slightly cooler sand, easier on hooves than thorn scrub. And the salt spill Joseph noticed earlier? It was real. A truck had leaked mineral feed near the lane entrance, and animals had been licking the soil. So the lane wasn't just a path. It was a resource strip. Joseph went to the local road foreman and demanded cleanup. Remove salt soil. Rake, cover with fresh dirt. Trim acacias away from the road edge so feeding required leaving the lane. Place warning signs and enforce low-speed approach. The foreman complained about time and labor. Joseph stared him down. "Your bus will stop every morning until you do," he said. The foreman grumbled and agreed. That evening, a new risk appeared. People started gathering near the acacia lane to see the giraffe. Children approached too close. Someone threw rocks. Someone tried to take a selfie. Joseph drove them away, furious. "This is how someone dies?" he shouted. "Not from the giraffe being evil, but from you being stupid." Sister Lila stood beside him and said quietly, "People are desperate. If the bus doesn't run, they will try anything." Joseph nodded grimly. "Then we fix the lane," he replied. Because this wasn't just an animal story, it was a transportation story, a healthcare story, a human routine story. And the giraffe, without meaning to, was exposing how fragile those routines were when they depended on one narrow corridor. The next week, the town treated the Acacia lane like a problem that had to be engineered, not argued with. The road crew scraped the salt-stained soil and hauled it away. They spread clean dirt and compacted the shoulder so the bus had a safer edge zone if needed. They trimmed lower acacia branches near the road, not destroying trees, just raising the feeding height so giraffes would have to step off the lane to browse comfortably. Joseph installed reflective marker poles along the lane entrance and convinced a shop owner to donate 2 solar blinkers that flashed at dusk and dawn, times when animals moved. They also changed bus behavior. Baraka was told, "Do not horn aggressively, slow early. If giraffe present, stop at a safe distance and wait for ranger response, not panic reverse into soft ground." The bus schedule adjusted slightly, leaving 10 minutes earlier to allow for delays. The first few mornings were still tense. The giraffe returned twice, stepping into the lane as if checking whether the old rules still held. Humans stop, giraffe eats. But now, when the giraffe tried to browse near the road edge, there was less to browse. Lower branches were gone, salt taste was gone. The lane no longer paid as well. Joseph and his team used gentle hazing when needed, pushing the giraffe into the wider scrub where acacias still offered leaves. They avoided turning it into a chase because chased giraffes ran into fences, into vehicles, into disaster. They just made the lane inconvenient. By the 10th day, the giraffe's visits decreased. It still crossed the lane sometimes. Animals moved through landscapes, but it didn't stand in the road for long. It didn't settle there like a gate. The corridor had lost value. One morning, Baraka drove through without stopping, only slowing briefly as the giraffe stood off to the side under deeper acacias, feeding away from the road. Passengers exhaled with relief. Someone laughed weakly. Sister Lila closed her eyes for a moment, like a prayer. At the clinic, Joseph met Baraka and nodded. "Better," he said. Baraka rubbed his hands together. "I don't want to fight animals," he said. "I just want to drive." Joseph nodded. "Then we make driving predictable again," he replied. That evening, Joseph wrote a report that sounded boring, because the best outcomes always sounded boring. Salt spill removed, roadside browse, reduced marker poles installed. Community warned bus protocol updated, no dramatic capture. No tranquilizer dart, no animal harmed. Just a system adjusted until the animal stopped choosing the worst place to stand. The giraffe had kept the acacia lane because it was easy shade and easy food. The bus didn't stop because a driver valued survival over schedule. In the end, the lane didn't become safe. It became less profitable to block. And that was enough for life to resume, fragile, imperfect, but moving forward. One dusty morning at a time.